My name is John Spanos, and throughout the course I've been working on a new pop-up restaurant concept, which is called Second Course. The idea actually started right next door in the Entrepreneurship lab around like week 2 of the semester. And the reason why I looked into this was I focused on 3 different customers, or 3 different groups. One of them was the underground chef, another the restaurant, and another as customers in general. So for underground chefs, I noticed that it was hard for chefs to network with other chefs and other people because of their busy work week. In addition, it was hard for them to become known and recognized. And around here, especially in New York City, there's only a few very well-known celebrity chefs who have made a name for themselves. For a restaurant, I was focusing on restaurants on closed days, how they, maybe due to their specific location, they can only operate 5 days out of the week, and they're closed maybe 1 or 2 days out of the week. Also, there was limited charitable marketing for them, and for customers in general, it was hard for them to find hidden talent, especially for foodies, and most of them receive only good food at expensive name brand restaurants.
John, I'm sorry, maybe I missed it. What is the goal? What do you?
The goal here is to promote a local chef or an underground chef to pop up in a restaurant with his menu. We would promote him and raise money for charities.
An outside chef to go into a different restaurant?
Exactly. On a closed day or on a day that they would be closed half of the day.
Okay. And to make money for charities?
To make money for charities.
Okay.
So with my vision, we would we'd give the underground chefs the ability to network with other underground chefs. They'd become known, and they'd have a way to benefit charities and other various organizations. For restaurants, it'd be used as a marketing tool or promotional tool. In addition, managers, owners, restaurateurs could network with other chefs and other restaurateurs as well, and it would be a way for them to make money on a day that they were normally closed. For the customer, I would say that this would become like the H&M of restaurants for them, where they would receive a very good product for a cheaper price. In addition, they'd have the ability to become more generous, as I was very inspired by Anton Berg's approach towards marketing and his chocolate. And they would also be able to experience a pop-up restaurant. And a little quote that I included was that we, Second Course, believe that there are many talented chefs out there who deserve to be showcased and who would be more than willing to donate their time and talents in the name of charity. We are creating a company to make that possible and to benefit everyone in its way.
So you just mentioned something about chocolate with somebody. What's that?
That was Anton Berg created a marketing campaign with chocolate where he would open his chocolate for 1 day, and he would give out free chocolate to people, and in return they would have to do one generous deed. So they'd have to publicize, for example, that they were nice to their wife, for example, or that they opened a door for somebody. And that was, instead of a monetary exchange, it was more of a generosity.
Is he a chocolate company?
I'm not sure. He was just I think he works for a chocolate. I was actually from Professor Lala, who is marketing in the marketing department. He showed it to me, and I was very inspired by it. So I thought this would be a way to make people more generous, or give them the opportunity to become more generous.
So I have a question about this idea of having a restaurant use a day when they're not open for customers and giving it to another chef. I mean, have other restaurants you've spoken to, have they come on board to that idea? I mean, I would figure
that was part of the the implementation process.
Because I thought I would just think, okay.
Yeah, unlike few of the other ones, this was a newer concept that I found in this semester. It wasn't something I've been working on, but I grew up in the restaurant industry. My family owns several restaurants, so I wanted to test that market to see if they would allow me to do that.
And you think a fine restaurant would let an unknown person?
Actually, I got one person
That's what I was going.
who said that he would let me do it.
Okay.
Just a little summary that you guys actually saw on the website. And part 2 is testing the market, and I set it up as a case study of implementing Second Course. I would have to find the location, find the chef, find a charity who would want to become a part of it. I'd have to market and promote the event and the overall feedback I would receive. So for finding the location, which was actually much more difficult than I thought, I would have, I preferred being in New York City or possibly Brooklyn in a modern area. The customer I was focusing on was middle-aged, working professional, mid to high income, with a desire to network and become trendy and a moderate price range. In addition, I would, in the process of setting up a restaurant, the decor would be in collaboration with the chef being showcased, or of the theme of that time. So if I was working with like breast cancer awareness charity, I would decorate it very pink and very in terms of breast cancer awareness. But for me, it was very difficult. I ended up going out all the way to Eastern Long Island and in East Setauket, where I was able to rent out this room to implement the initial idea. In addition, I would have to create some sort of roster or find a chef I would work with. And I used one of my personal connections, Charlie Keller, who's a chef in one of my family restaurants. And we put together this email that I sent out to approximately 17 chefs. And out of those 17, I got these people to sign up with me. One being Charlie Keller, of course, my friend. And Joseph Sakura is actually the chef that I'd be implementing this idea with. And a little information on him: he's been in the business for about 25 years and a lot of experience. We would also have to create a menu, which he did mostly, and he was able to tie in the costs associated with each of those. And the total cost per person ended up becoming roughly $17. And we'd have to find a charity. The charity that I worked with was the Holy Cross Monastery in Setauket. And the specific purpose of them wanting to host an event was for the Maria Dorfman's family. She was recently widowed, her husband passed away, and she's pregnant with 3 other children. So we were trying to raise money for her and her family. In order to market it, initially I wanted to do direct selling and possibly direct mailing, but of course, time permitting, I was able to put ads in the storefront and at the monastery. But I was depending on word of mouth spread from parishioners and personal selling from employees behind the counter. And the grand event ended up becoming not so grand, with only 16 guests coming. And I think the majority of the reason of that was because it was $50 per person. And I did a little basic income statement of the event, and it ended up that I lost $497. And so for the overall feedback, which was the main portion of the course, for the 16 guests who attended, only 10 of them completed surveys, and they gave the overall experience a rating of 4.6. And also, as per my emphasis on
4.6
Out of what?
out of 5.
Out of 5.
If you noticed, my logo was taste what's next. I was initially focusing a lot on the chef and not necessarily on the donation or the experience offered. And I think that was another place I went wrong. As the results in terms of the chef, I sent him a thank you letter, and he responded by saying that he'd be very pleased to continue working with me in the future, although it didn't go as planned. The general public, this was a random survey that I walked around and I would ask people about it, and from left to right, left being most important, I wanted to see what would attract them most to coming to an event. And D stands for donation, E for experience, F for food, and C for chef. And it ended up that I had a complete false image on it, and the majority of the population or the sample says that they'd come for the donation of the experience. And also noted that all of these people, out of all these people, none of them had ever been to a pop-up restaurant before, and they didn't even know what one was. From the restaurants, as you were asking before, I got, out of all these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I got not allowed. They would never participate in it, but they are interested in hosting charity events, not with me though. And the one person that did was Toast and Tapas in Syosset, Long Island. And they're a newer concept, and they said that they would let me rent out the entire restaurant for $300 to $500 per hour, and they would allow me to use my own team, and I would be in complete control.
For the guys who said they wouldn't allow, did they give you a reason why? Was it part
Most of it was because of me walking into their kitchen.
Yeah, so.
And I didn't do a specific survey on that, which
Yeah.
I'd like to do in the
But I-
future, yeah.
And it's the $300 to $500, does that include, what does it include? Does it
That just includes renting the space, that doesn't include food cost or anything. But we can't forget too that the
use
chef
their-
would be
use their
donating.
knives and use their-
We would use everything, but it'd be $300 to $500 per hour, which would end up becoming, for 3 hours that I did this event, would be $1,200, which would be way too expensive for us. So in the past, as I mentioned before, I placed way too much emphasis on chef.
Can you just even go back to the point
Yeah.
where, that thing where you said you lost the money, right? So if that went successfully, what would you have hoped in terms of, I'm trying to understand the revenue flow. You basically, what?
The way I would make money would be
How-
that
Yeah,
after everything is paid, we'd walk in, rent the establishment,
okay,
order the food there, and we would pay the rent expense, the charity would cover the food cost,
okay.
and we would take 10% of all the profits generated.
Okay.
But because this was a very small sample, the charity Tide was a kind of a family relationship. We were just trying to raise money for her, so it was a very, very soft launch of the
Okay.
big picture.
Got it.
When you say, when I see donation first, is that?
Yes.
Does that mean they wanna go because they feel it's good to make a donation, or are they looking if it's cheap enough, we'll go?
No, they wanted to go for the donation aspect the most, so they wanted to go there for the specific charity,
charitable
exactly.
Okay.
And so looking back, like I mentioned before, they're mostly interested in donation and experience. I believe the price was way too high for this initial implementation. Majority of the restaurants, as I showed you before, won't allow us to use their facility, and it'd be extremely difficult to make money with the high costs. As a somewhat of a pivot point, I mentioned the idea to Chef Joseph about popping up all over the place, and he said that it'd be better to do something that he did at the Huntington Harbor Club, which would be to rent out a club for 3 months or seasonally and host like a weekly pop-up, weekly chefs instead of doing on the day. I could also become a true charity event broker where I focus more on charities rather than chefs. People were definitely excited about the pop-up, especially because I didn't know about it, so it could be something to look forward to in the future. And I could possibly get a few select restaurants under my belt just to, I'm not gonna make a lot of money, but it'd be a way to raise money for charities.
Have you ever considered, a different way of thinking about it, but of approaching high-profile chefs, like a Wolfgang Puck or?
The reason why I did Taste What's Next was because I wanted to initially get somebody who worked under a very well-known chef and make it sort of like, why would you go to his restaurant and pay that much when you can go to his second string chef for a cheaper and more fun experience. That was the initial idea behind the company. I can't find the logo. Taste Who's Next. But yeah, I mean, maybe moving forward, a celebrity chef or a more well-known.
That'll generate a lot more,
Mhm.
press publicity, higher prices, glamour, and possibly the restaurant allowing that person to have a little bit more access.
We've got not allowing, would it be, like, if they kept their regular kitchen staff and everybody in there, and the chef was just coming to work?
That's what I was thinking also, we could work with their people.
They have to respect the chef to do that.
We could work with the restaurant instead of the chef
But they'd have to,
and
also,
connect the charity to the restaurant.
but also I was thinking that, part of what makes these restaurants appealing to consumers is the reputation of their own chef, and the issue is that, I don't know, would they feel you're cannibalizing, right? I mean, like suddenly, like, if I'd like to chef, like, why am I going to your restaurant? I'm gonna go to.
I was thinking also that we could take existing restaurants, just create a prefix menu with them with a price, and then if I have a charity who wants to raise money, they would approach me and I would direct them there, and I would have the menu set and everything. It's all in the long-term future.
Chinese chef.